Hey there everyone, welcome back to another episode of TLFC. Thanks for tuning in as always. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2024 Olympics, which if you did not know, is going to be held this summer in Paris, France. We're going to be discussing the soccer aspect of the Olympics, and we're going to go ahead and talk about, the history of soccer/football in the Olympics. We're going to talk about this year's tournament, the 2024 tournament, and the format of it. And we're also going to discuss how I think this tournament impacts the US men's national team and soccer as a whole in America going forward. Please stick around to the end of the video. I do still have the giveaway live, which we're really close to 100 subs. Might be at 100 subs when this airs. Who knows? But anyway, let's get into it. History of the tournament. As we all know, the Olympics is a worldwide sport tournament for most major and some obscure sports in the world. The games have their roots in ancient Greece, where representatives from Greek city-states and kingdoms would come to hold religious and athletic festivals in honor of Zeus. The modern games had its resurgence in 1896, but unlike the ancient games, featured representatives from all over the globe who were there to compete for their country. Soccer, however, would not find its way into the 1896 games and would be added in the second edition of the games in 1900. Only 3 nations would compete in this first tournament, and the teams were more like club teams than national teams. For example, the champions were known as Upton Park FC, an English club representing the United Kingdom. This would hold true for the 1904 games as well, which was won by a Canadian club known as Galt. The Olympics would have their first proper international tournament in 1908, featuring 6 teams, which was won by Great Britain. Great Britain would actually be the winners of 3 of the first 4 tournaments, but have not won since. Mostly because in 1972, they decided to stop competing, for fears that FIFA may force all UK football associations, aka the English FA, Scottish FA, Irish FA, and Welsh FA, into one football association. By not competing in the Olympics, they can maintain national team status for each individual country instead of the United Kingdom as a whole. Anyway, after the first few tournaments, similar to the Copa America and the World Cup, Uruguay took over, winning back-to-back in 1924 and 1928. In 1932, the tournament actually was canceled. The reason was FIFA dropped the tournament in 1929 to promote its upcoming tournament in 1930, which was known as the World Cup. FIFA really wanted to make sure that the World Cup was the premier tournament in soccer. Soccer would return to Germany in 1936, which was a very controversial games for more reasons than one, and would feature 16 teams, which is how the tournament is still held today with 16 teams. Shortly thereafter, the world fell into chaos. Following a 12-year layoff due to World War II, the Olympics would pick back up in 1948 and would be dominated by Eastern European nations until 1980. The primary reason for this was the rules of the tournament called for only amateurs to compete. The Soviet Union, aka Eastern European athletes, at the time were state-sponsored, not professionally sponsored, and were therefore able to compete as amateur athletes. Eastern Europe won 23 out of 28 medals in this time.
I'm sick and tired of hearing about what a great hockey team the Soviets have.
So yeah, it may have been a little unfair. To combat this, in 1984, FIFA allowed for professional players to be called up. However, teams from UEFA and CONMEBOL were not allowed to call up players who had been in a World Cup.
Well, that's really not fair.
I know. This way, FIFA could keep the World Cup the premier attraction. The Olympics would again change its rules once more in 1992, with rosters being made of U23 professional players, and was slightly adjusted again in 1996 to allow for 3 overage players, which has been and still is the current rule set today. 1996 is also the first time that women competed in the tournament, and there are no restrictions for women. Since 1984, 2 European teams have won, 3 if you include the Soviet Union in 1988, 2 African nations have won, 2 South American nations have won, and 1 North American nation. the 2024 Olympic Soccer Tournament. So the 2024 Olympics will be held in Paris, and the men's soccer tournament will be featuring 16 teams as previously discussed. The teams will be from Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, North America, and Oceania. At the time of filming, not all 16 teams have qualified. These 16 teams will be separated into 4 groups of 4 for a round-robin stage to be followed by a knockout stage. The top 2 teams from each group will advance to the knockout stage, and from this point, there will be no ties. It is win or go home. As discussed, the men's team will be limited to professionals 23 years of age or younger, and 3 overage players are allowed. And there are 0 restrictions for the women's tournament. There will be a total of 7 venues used across 7 cities in France, and will begin on July 24th, ending with the final on the 10th of August, where Brazil will be hoping to play and retain their crown from 2020. So what does this tournament mean to the US men's national team? Traditionally, the US men's national team has not had much success in this tournament. We have only won 2 medals in the tournament since 1896. Well, the men have only won 2 medals since 1896. Yes, the nation with the most Olympic medals in history has only 2 from men's soccer. Remember when I mentioned Canada won in the 1904 games? Well, those games were hosted in the United States, in St. Louis, and Canada beat 2 other teams in that tournament. The 2 other teams, both from the United States. So yes, we got 2nd and 3rd in 1904, and those are our only 2 medals. Yep, we can't even win when we host and represent 66% of the teams involved. And our 3rd place medal was literally the last place medal. That being said, we did have a nice little 4th place finish in the year 2000, but unfortunately, no hardware for that one. So yeah, guys, we have tons to prove in the Olympics, and I think it is time for us as a nation to start caring about this one. We have not competed in the Olympics since 2008 in soccer. That is a huge deal. Missing Olympic windows matters. Kids and future generations draw inspiration from these games. I genuinely think it's a big reason why the USA didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018. There have been 16 years, an entire generation, where kids have not had a chance to watch their American soccer heroes play for their country on TV in the summer. I always found watching the Olympics super inspiring, and I think kids missing out on that for 16 years has somewhat crippled men's American soccer growth. Now, thankfully, I think we are back with a great solid crop of young talented players who play both abroad and domestically. Lots of these U23 guys can play, and I am especially curious to see who our 3 overage ringers are going to be. American soccer is on the rise. Talent is on the rise. Demands and player expectations are on the rise, and I think we could be treated to a nice little performance this upcoming Olympics. And frankly, I think it is imperative that we do perform well, because all future national team performances for the next 2 years are building up to the big one, guys. The 2026 World Cup hosted here in the United States. So to help with that buildup, 2024 brings 2 giant tournaments to the US men's national team. We have the Copa America, which we have discussed in a previous video, and I'll leave a link in the description, and the Olympics. These are massive opportunities for the US men's national team program and young players to gain some belief and gain it by performing in big moments on the field in big tournaments. It is time to start showing ourselves and the world that this is a soccer nation. The 2024 Olympic Games, hosted in Paris, will be a pivotal moment to put the world and the general American public on notice that soccer in the United States has finally arrived. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Those of you who made it this far, as promised, we are doing our giveaway. So we're giving away the Lionel Messi Inferno Parallel and our Matisse Tell Purple Foil 18 out of 75. All you got to do is leave a comment in this video and subscribe. It's that easy. If you leave a comment and you subscribe, you're entered to win. I'm going to make an Excel list of every single person who leaves a comment, and then just use a random number generator to pick somebody off of that Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to send you both these cards completely free. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you as always for, subscribing and liking. I really, really appreciate it. And we will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.